I'm totally ignorant.
Is it Welsh and, I don't know. It's
Huh.
like the difference between Sanskrit and English. It's
Wow.
just like
I didn't know that.
beyond nobody, and it doesn't correspond to any other language on earth. Some people pretend to say that it's like Hungarian. No. It's very hard to learn, but I realized actually I know more than I thought I did. Kids absorb a lot, and so in my head when I do this Duolingo, I'm like, wait a minute, I know all these words because I was surrounded by it when I'm visiting friends and relatives.
Yeah, that's cool. Good, that's
I
cool.
like that.
That's cool. All right, should we dive in? It's on page 14. Most of you probably know. Yedid nefesh avarachaman mishoch avdach eritzonach yarutz avdach emo hayal yishtachavel mol hadarach yerav lo yedidutach minofetzu v'chotam hadur na'eziv ha'olam nafshi chol aravatach ana el narevana la beharolano hamzivach Hasdid chazek v'did rabeh v'hayetalach shivchad olam v'tigemora chamecha b'chuzna al beno avach ki zegaman ilov nizav lirov niferet uzach ana eli machmali choshana ve'aldid alam higalena obras kabim balai etzugad shelomach Tahir heret migemodach Nagila v'ni Page 12, 17. Or zaru alatani kuli shrelev simcha simchu tzadikim b'Adonai ve'odu lezecher gocho mizmor shir l'Adonai shir chadash ki niflo nasad yalev siru zechon. Livnei Adonai giva lishbod ared lishbod tevel b'tzedek ve'ami b'mei sharim Adonai malach yirgezu ami yoshev kruvim taned ared Moshe ve'Aaron v'Kohanav u'Shmuel v'Korei Shemo Korim el Adonai Ve'hu yahanem v'amud anon Yedaber alehem Shamru edotav v'chog nadalamo Adonai Eloheinu Adonitam El nosei ha'ita lahem B'nogem al alilodam Romimu Adonai Eloheinu V'ishtachavu le'ar kodsho Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Page 20, please rise. Mizmor leDavid Havul Adonai b'nei Elim Havul Adonai Gavod Ba'oz Havul Adonai Gevod Shema Adonai et arzei halbanon bayar kidem gemo egel Lebanon Besirion Gemo Gemo Venereim Ay oh Adonai Gotev Labodesh Dol Adonai Yachil Midbar Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh Kol Yichol El Ayalod Bayechesof Yeharodu Bechalo Kulo Merkavod Adonai Lama Yashav Yishev Adonai Melech Leolam Adonai Oz Le'amo Yitein Adonai Yevarech Namo Bashalom Hay 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 Hanna bekoach bekoach Gedulat yemincha yemincha Tatir zerura kaberinat amcha Sagavenu torenu nora Hanna bekoach gedulat yemincha Tatir zerura Tatir zerura Kaberinat amcha Sagavenu torenu nora Lechadodi ligrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Shamor bezachor bedibur echad Hishmiyanu elam yuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad L'shem ultiferet v'letila lechadoni ligrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadoni ligrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nei l'chag ki megor haberacha merosh mikerem nesucha Sof maaseh b'machshavat chila lechadoni ligrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lechadoni ligrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Migdash melech ir melucha kumitzi mitoch ha'afecha Rav lach shevet b'yemek habacha V'hu yachamol alayich emla lechadoni ligrat gala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Bene Shabbat Negabela Hidnaharim Efargo Milib Shibigde Tifartecha Mihol Yad Benishai Veralachmi Korvel Nafshi Gehala Lechadoni Ligrat Gala Bene Shabbat Negabela Lechadoni Ligrat Gala Bene Shabbat Negabela Hidoreri Givahore Gumiore Uri Shir Dabere Givod Adonai Alaich Nigla Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Pene Shaman Gavela Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Lo tevoshi velo tigalmi Mani shochachi umademi Bach yechesu Anyehami Venim netahir al dila Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Vehayurim Shisa Shosayich Verachapu Gomevalayich Aziz Alayich Elohayich Imsos Chatan Al Gala Lechadoni Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Lechadodi Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Yaminu Smol Tivrotzi Behed Adonai Naritzi Al Yaharish Ben Parzi Ben Nismecha Ben Agila Lechadoni Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Lechadoni Ligrat Gala Pene Shaban Negabela Boi B'Shalom Aderet gala Penei Shabbat nega Bela Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat Tov Levarim Magalo Yegor Lefroim Od Yenu Sevan Sheni Beron Animiu Lehagin Ki Yashar Adonai Tsuri V'lo V'la Tabo Adonai Malach Keulavesh Eno Techanem Level Chana V'Kodesh Adonai Orech Yamim. This week we observe the Artzeiten of Susan Marie Heron Sibbett, sister of Ginny Heron Lanoil, Ava M. Lewin, mother of Sybil Rosenberg, Irving Avram Rudder, uncle of Eleanor Dreyfus, Warren Schreiber, brother of Gloria Staple, Jenny Braver, grandmother of Barry Goldenberg, Charles Binger, father of Leah Lenny, Paul Stepner, stepfather of Sandra Goldman and Elaine Prager, and also M. Manuel Schwartz, Oscar Kraus, Faye Chefsky, and Abraham Karpf, who are memorialized on our board. May their memories, the memories of all those whom we recall, be blessings. In lieu of Kaddish, we can learn a Mishnah in honor of the souls of those whom we've lost. And let's look at chapter 2 of Pirkei Avot, which is on page 260. How about Mishnah 2? Rabban Gamliel, son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, taught, the study of Torah is commendable when combined with gainful occupation. It's a very important lesson and something that the rabbis always assumed. For when a person toils in both, sin is driven out of the mind. Interesting. I think if you only learn Torah, sin comes to the mind. Or if you only have an occupation, it's the combination of the
Why
two.
do you think there's a certain portion of the Jewish world who kind of looks down on it separately? Just learning is better, and the other thing is not.
I mean, we are all susceptible. I think the answer of Rabban Gamliel would be we're all susceptible to sin. I mean, I think definitely the perspective in the early rabbis is that you study Torah and you also have a livelihood, and that the absence of either is a sort of a sinful path, or a path that leads to sin. I mean, if you ask me what they do with this particular Mishnah, I would say, I don't know, it's a tough one for them. It probably isn't their favorite. But of course, it's a great point. It's one of the reasons why I think this Mishnah is so important. Study alone without an occupation leads to idleness and ultimately to sin. All who serve on behalf of the community should do so for heaven's sake. Their work will prosper because the inherited merit of their ancestors endures forever. God will abundantly reward them as though they had achieved it all through their own efforts. An important Mishnah, I think, a rich Mishnah. And we dedicate that to in honor of all of the Artzeiten this week and all those whom we've lost. Any thoughts about it?
Unless I'm misreading this, how come they say study with occupation will lead to sin, but they don't talk about occupation without study? Unless it's just assuming show study Torah.
My guess would be, that's a good question, right? Why don't they say that presumably if you need both, presumably having either one but not the other is bad, but the only one they list as being bad is studying Torah without an occupation.
Maybe it's so obvious.
Presumably because they know their audience. That would be my guess. And their audience is rabbis who, left to their own devices, might just study Torah all day long, and they're saying, but listen, you're not supposed to do that. That would be my guess. Although it's a good question, though, right?
It
And
makes sense.
and does it imply that it's better if you can only do one? Which one is better? I mean, does it imply that it's better to like earn a livelihood if you can only do one? I think probably. I think that's probably what they think. I mean,
It's
I
also
think.
like knowing your audience, like at this time, this era, wouldn't, I mean, wouldn't Jews generally unite for Shabbat either Friday, like do something? This is the time there was little mini synagogues, right? This is.
There were little mini. I mean, yeah. So
So if, even if you're a Jew who worked, a camel driver, let's say, or something like that, at Shabbat, it was pretty much most Jews, if not all Jews, were at least. Shabbat stuff.
the presumption of the rabbis, or at least what they say, is that they presume Jews schlep out to shul on Shabbat, at least, even if they don't do it during the week. Okay, so what does that have to do with
I was
though?
thinking, so you're getting, whether, even if you're chatting with Moshe in the corner, you're kind of absorbing whatever learning's happening in the little.
I think that's true.
And so I would think that most communities, especially in all these eras, that you go, it's community, go to community. So you're getting it kind of by default even if you work. But the flip side is not so necessarily true.
Not so necessarily true.
So
Yeah.
we see this.
Like if you just hang out in the synagogue all day.
I got my information.
Yeah, if you just hang out in the synagogue. Well, I mean, listen, I mean the idea that there would be, large swaths of the society that are just supported to learn is an extremely modern phenomenon. I mean, it hasn't existed, never existed, and it would have been unthinkable because you had to survive, like you had to,
Women
so.
wouldn't go out to work on your behalf, which is now what's sort of assumed.
I mean, the idea that there are sacrifices to be made for Torah study, and I think that that's reasonable too. I actually think that Jewish society should support Torah study and should make it possible, and I think it's not totally unreasonable for a Jewish community to make some sacrifices that they ideally share and spread around the burden of supporting the fact that Torah is being learned in Israel, because that's kind of what it's about. Israel, I mean like the people Israel. But I mean the present situation with that is really it would have struck the rabbis as very peculiar. And it's only if you don't have to literally toil for your sustenance that you can even think about something like that. So it's a very certainly non-traditional way of studying Torah. Pirkei Avot is great. If you've never it's in the Siddur. My grandfather, I think, knew Pirkei Avot by heart, not because he was so frum necessarily, but because he loved Pirkei Avot and he was a Hebraist and he knew the Siddur very well. And most Siddurim have Pirkei Avot after Shabbos Mincha. There's a tradition that after Shabbos Mincha, before Havdalah, you study Pirkei Avot, and I think my grandfather did that every week, even though he was not otherwise so firm. But he I believe he knew Pirkei Avot by heart, and Well, I was going to share something about the Parsha. Maybe I'll share this tomorrow night at Slichot, because it's an amazing little text, so I'll share it tomorrow at Slichot instead. We'll come back to that. We'll continue. Any other thoughts about the Mishnah? Or other Mishnah, or any other? The inherited merit of our ancestors endures forever. That's kind of interesting, right? What does that mean? I don't even know. What does that mean? That means that...
Isn't there a theory that the previous generation was better than this, and people before that was better than this?
Yes.
Merit going back.
Yes. I mean, there's a concept that appears in some places in rabbinic literature, which I think is an unfortunate concept, in my opinion. It's not the only idea, but there is a concept that, yes, the generations degrade over time, that Moshe's generation, and there's the next one, and then we're just getting lower and lower and lower and lower over time, which, if you ask me, is a little bit discouraging. I mean, if you really believe that's how things are going. Certainly Maimonides didn't believe he was so much lower than... he had a pretty high... No, that wasn't universally the opinion. I mean, Jews have thought a lot of things,
I
but...
think that's like a typical, like, parent, grandparent, like, every generation.
Everything
is
is there.
like, oh, you know, they were better, we were better than the next one, oh, you know, so it's like even,
Yeah.
you see that.
Or even like the greatest... Well, there's like the greatest generation, even in America, right? Well, like we have like the greatest generation, right? And then the baby boomer, like even the idea of the greatest generation sort of implies that, you know.
But if you look back, you're like, oh, that polio, that wasn't so nice, we're doing better now. Just saying.
In some ways we've good some way. I will say, I mean, I think, whatever, it's getting off topic. I think that whenever I am discouraged about progress, I think, oh, things are just not progressing. I think, for me anyways, the thing I point to that I feel like is just incontrovertibly, we are better now than we were 100 years ago, is the status of women in the world. Like, it used to be like it, you know, and like, I think that is like, it gives me hope for humanity that like 100 years ago, like there were no women doctors or like scientists or like anything. There were women nothing, right? And basically. And now that's commonplace in most of the world. And I think that's incredible. And not that there's still work to be done, but like I don't know, that gives me hope.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's hard. Yeah. And we're just like schmoozing. I think it's hard. Yeah. It's a pendulum, but like for me, it's hard to argue that that's not like a measurable improvement. Like, whereas other things, it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of racism still. There's like a lot of prejudice still. But like, I do think that like, it's like, we've lived through mostly in the not too recent history, like that was just transformed in the world in a way that seems to me to be very positive. All right. Well, let's daven Ma'ariv. Now we can schmooze more. We can schmooze with the Almighty by davening Ma'ariv. It's on page 28. Baruch atah Adonai Umavir yom umevi laila umavir ben yom ben laila Adonai tzevot shemo el chai v'kayam ten yochaleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai hamari v'aravim ahavat olam be'Yisrael Im chayenu ve'orech yameinu ve'em nege yomam v'layla v'avatichal tasirenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael el melech neman Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'v'shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'b'isharecha Adonai Elohechem Emet ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל כהנו שירה ושמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלוהים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורדתי לא תוספל מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לבני משה זה אלינו ואמרו נוראים לך לעולם כי פדלנה את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל השכיבנו אדוני לנו לשלום ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום אתה ביד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. The silent Hamidah is page 35. Kiddush is page 49. Asher kitchen mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'avartam nichilanu zikaron l'maseh bereshit ki yom techila l'mikrae kodesh zecher l'tziad mitzrayim hivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta migol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ava Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, atet gedula le'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu gegoyei haratzot, velo samanu mishpechot ha'adama, Shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gohor aleinu gechol hamonam v'anachnu gorim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu Shem Shamayim v'yosem Moshe המלכות שלך היא, באמת ימלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, נהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו we can learn one more Mishnah in lieu of Kaddish. And again, Mishnah is often said in memory of people because you can arrange the letters from Mishnah into Neshama, which means soul. Mishnah also means to repeat, and it also means to change, just like the word Shana, which also means to repeat, and Leshanot, which means to change. And I've always thought that learning Mishnayot is lovely in honor of people because I think it speaks to something very true, that our memories of people and that our relationship with people actually changes even when they're no longer there. It's like still alive and vital, I think, in a lot of ways. And like what I think about my grandfather, for instance, now that he died many, many years ago, it was different from how I thought about him when I was a kid. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Okay, Mishnah 3. This is another teaching of Rabban Gamliel. Be wary of authorities. They do not befriend anyone unless it serves their own needs. They appear as a friend when it is to their advantage, but do not stand by a person in an hour of need. Which reflects the rabbi's thoroughgoing suspicion, I think, of people who are in positions of authority, whether government or people who sort of take on positions of authority. The rabbis are pretty suspicious. Yeah, like our mayor. Well, not the mayor of Pelham, but
Or
No.
what they're reporting, we'll say. 'cause innocent
what they're
people are pretty
reporting.
guilty, right?
That's right. That's right. That's true.
Hey, don't we want the price of Turkish dates to be lower? I
I don't know. It's a weird story. It's a weird
That's
story.
why it's more suspicious than whatever. But anyway.
Anyway.
Still.
All right. Kiddush is sponsored this week by Julia Koss in honor of me
Wow.
and the release of my new book, Next Stop. Wow, and to my many PJC friends, Lashana Tova Tikatevu V'Techatemu. Wow, that's what Julia said, and I just learned that just now. Thank you, Julia.
Wow. What a blessing.
Blessings to you all in this new year, 5785. Wow, thank you, Julia. Slichot will be shul tomorrow, of course, at 9:30 as always. Slichot is tomorrow at 7:30 at the PJC. Havdalah and dessert and evening, and we'll sing, and hopefully we have beautiful, spirited slichot and sing some of those tunes, which always do. Once you start singing the tunes, it becomes even more real. What's that? We'll also sing some traditional slichot. It sings. It's your first yeah. So we'll so it should be lovely. And lulav and etrog sets, you can order them by emailing the office, of course. And thank you to Roger for putting that together as he does every year. On October 7th, we will gather for a short Ma'ariv and memorial service here at the PJC at 7 p.m. There is also a Westchester-wide one on October 6th at Temple Israel Center, but it's full. So you can only live stream it, and if you've registered, you should go to that or live stream it if you wish, but we also want to have one here on October 7th. And Adult Ed will return in force after the holidays, exploring Jewish fiction with me.
Science fiction.
Jewish science fiction with me. We'll start Tuesday, November 5th at 7:30 p.m., and that'll be a class both about science fiction, but also about what it means to tell stories in a Jewish way. So we'll look at some science fiction things, including maybe some sections from my book, but also some other Jewish science fiction writers, and also we'll explore what it means to tell for a story to be Jewish, which is an interesting question.
What's his name? Lee, right? Avengers.
The Avengers?
Are we going into comic book type science fiction?
I was going to talk a little bit about. Stanley was Jewish. I was going to talk a little bit about the phenomenon of the Jewish aspects of Marvel and DC and things like that. Although I'm not but if you're an expert in that and you want to bring some stuff, yeah, then let's talk.
I will interview my
Let's
daughter.
talk. Oh, your daughter. Well,
Eliana, she's
I'm not an expert in that, but
some learning.
yeah. So that should be great, and the holidays, of course, are coming up, and we'll conclude with Yigdal on page 53. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimtza v'hein el metziuto echad ben yachid keyechudo nelam v'gam ein sof le'achduto elo demutagu v'hein ol guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato talmon mechol davor asher nivra rishon ben reshit le'reshito hino adon olam v'chol otzar yoreg gedulato malchuto shefan buato netano el anshe zgulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael kemo Hosheo navi u'mavid et emunato Torat natan lehamoel al yad nevio neman beito lo yachalifael velo yamudato leolamim lezulato sofel yodea setareinu mabit lesof davar rekadmato gomer lish chesed kemibalo noten l'rashara gerishato yishlach l'chetz yamim meshichenu libdot mechakeket yeshuato meitim yechayel verov chasdo baruch adei ad shem tihilato meitim yechayel verov chasdo baruch adei ad shem tihilato. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
Are these first Friday then is going to resume this one?
Yeah, they are. The first one I think is no.
It wouldn't be Friday, but I still that's Rosh Hashanah, right?
It's not going to be Rosh Hashanah. Yeah,
They're called Family Fridays.
Family Friday.
Family Fridays.
Yeah, we rebranded it from First Friday to Family Friday. Very similar program, different branding, slightly. And I think the first one's November 1st. Does that sound right? It's coming. Yeah, they're coming. Yeah, there's about the same number because now the calendar work out this year was like.
Is it particularly geared to the kids or adults?
No, it's I don't know. It's anyone. I mean, it's like
By the way, Rosh Hashanah is the second day on Friday.
Yeah.
Approximately what time will the services end?
Just sitting the whole
One.
time, I'm like, actually, I
One.
appreciate like.
Because the thing is, my
So,
school is,
I just wanted to check.
look, it's closed on Thursday, but I'll probably have to go on Friday.
Because I'm trying to be more.
So I get back about
inclusive.
11:45, but if I
I
came
just want
out
to go.
at
I
12,
think it's. I
it's
think
gonna
you'll have
go
some
on
time.
for a while.
I think you'll have time. I mean, it's worth you. It's worth it.
Right.
You'll have enough time. One o'clock.
Later show for it.
What's that?
Definitely a show for it.
You'll be able to hear the shofar. Probably, well, not
Because
before
that's
you get.
maybe who everybody was.
Is Avi Noel coming?
He is coming.
He is coming.
At last. There was some uncertainty about it.
Oh, you're
His
not.
mother is ill.
And then you get to.
He is.
He's coming.
It's although to be honest,
Thanks.
with everything going on, I will. He's planning on coming, but until he lands here in New York, I'm like, well.
Gotta be nervous about being.
Well, on so many different levels, you know. I mean, flights could get canceled, of course.
Last time, oh goodness, there was.
And his
last
son
time,
is-
He was barely here like.
He's home
minutes.
now. His older son, who knows, he's in the army. Who knows? Yes, they're planning to come, which is wonderful.
Okay.
I think for them too, it's like it means a lot to them to be here. Like it's not
You're restored.
not just a job. You know? It means a lot.
Not just Stan Lee, but Superman.
There we go, so like we need to bring some of this to support this.
Of course.
When I was younger, I used to read it all the time.
I'm
But I feel
sure
like
you
that
can
was-
still.
Good
But
job.
If
like
you
I'm
wanna
not
be-
confident with the
Like
words.
songs,
Of
like.
course, I
I have to
would
get
love
more
that.
confident with the words again, and
And
also
if you-
like I have to like write in my Sidor
If
like
you want to work on new stuff